The world today is unsettled in ways not seen for decades. Conflicts are burning in multiple regions. The war in Ukraine has ground on far longer than many expected. Fighting in the Middle East has reignited old tensions. Across the Indo-Pacific, China's rising military and economic assertiveness is reshaping regional balances and increasing the risk of confrontation. For ordinary people living thousands of miles away from the front lines, such developments can feel distant, until they are not. History shows that crises can erupt with little warning, spill across borders, and upend daily life in a matter of days. A disruption in one part of the world can send shockwaves through global markets, halt the flow of goods, and leave shelves empty in cities far from the original flashpoint. It is natural to seek security in times of uncertainty. For centuries, people have turned to gold as a hedge against instability. But when infrastructure breaks down and essential services stop, the glitter of gold fades quickly. What matters then is not wealth stored in vaults or jewelry boxes, but practical resources that keep you and your family alive. This is not about panic or hoarding. It is about understanding the basic realities of survival in modern conflict. Realities demonstrated again and again in Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, Bosnia, and other places where normal life was suddenly and violently interrupted. The lesson is consistent. In the most difficult days, 4 types of items will matter far more than precious metals. 1. Ready-to-eat food, fuel for survival. When conflict disrupts normal supply chains, food is often one of the first essentials to disappear. In urban environments under siege, as in Mariupol during 2022, access to fresh groceries quickly vanishes. Without electricity, gas, or safe water, cooking becomes dangerous or impossible. That is why ready-to-eat food, high-calorie items that require no preparation, is the foundation of any household survival plan. Compressed biscuits, canned meats, and preserved proteins like beef jerky are small, lightweight, and energy-dense. A single 100-gram packet of fortified biscuits can provide the same calories as 2 bowls of rice. Chocolate is another surprisingly valuable resource. Beyond being a morale booster, its high sugar and fat content makes it a quick energy source during long periods of physical strain or limited rations. Shelf life matters. Many canned goods last 2 to 3 years or more if stored properly. They can be eaten without heat or additional water, which is crucial when utilities fail. In contrast, staples like rice and flour are harder to use under siege conditions. Without gas or electricity, cooking them requires open flames, a serious fire risk in crowded urban areas. Fuel itself often becomes scarce, turning cooking into a dangerous gamble. The pattern is clear. In any environment where movement is restricted and infrastructure is failing, the food that sustains life is the kind you can open and eat immediately. 2. Salt and sugar, small packages, immense value. In peaceful times, salt and sugar are inexpensive and easy to overlook. In wartime, they often become among the most valuable commodities on the black market. Salt is more than a seasoning. It prevents iodine deficiency, a condition that can cause weakness, swelling, and, in severe cases, life-threatening complications. It also preserves food, extending its shelf life when refrigeration is impossible. In conflicts where salt mines or processing facilities have been destroyed, shortages can push prices to extraordinary heights. In parts of Europe during the Second World War, a small bag of salt could be exchanged for valuable goods. Sugar's value is equally practical. It is pure, fast-burning energy, easy to store, and highly versatile. Soldiers in past conflicts have relied on small pieces of candy to keep moving when food was scarce. In medical emergencies, sugar can help treat shock and low blood sugar levels. It also plays a role in preserving certain foods and even in disinfecting wounds in situations where modern medical supplies are lacking. These 2 items are compact, cheap in peacetime, and, if kept sealed and dry, can last for years. Their storage cost is minimal, yet in a crisis they can be worth far more than gold in terms of immediate usefulness. 3. Essential medicines, protecting health when systems fail. In the popular image of war, deaths are caused by direct violence. But history tells a different story. In many conflicts, more people have died from disease, infection, and lack of basic healthcare than from weapons. The collapse of sanitation systems, the contamination of water supplies, and the scarcity of medical facilities can turn treatable conditions into fatal ones. During the Bosnian War, civilians died in large numbers from diarrhea, wound infections, dehydration, and the inability to manage chronic illnesses such as diabetes or heart disease. For households preparing for instability, a small medical kit can be a literal lifesaver. This should include anti-inflammatory drugs to fight infections, antipyretics to reduce fever, analgesics for pain relief, basic wound care supplies such as iodine, alcohol, gauze and bandages, tourniquets for controlling severe bleeding, antidiarrheal medication, especially important in areas where water contamination is likely, chronic condition medication for anyone in the household who depends on daily treatment, multivitamins to compensate for poor diet during extended crises. In Ukraine, many medicines were among the first items to sell out after the outbreak of hostilities. Prices rose sharply as supply routes were cut. Similar patterns have been seen in every modern conflict zone. The lesson is clear. In an environment where hospitals may be overwhelmed or unreachable, having basic medicines at home can make the difference between recovery and tragedy. 4. Drinking water, the most critical resource. Water is the ultimate survival priority. Humans can go weeks without food but only about 3 days without water. In conflict zones, water sources are often targeted, destroyed, or contaminated early in the fighting. During the fighting in eastern Ukraine, entire military units were incapacitated by cholera after drinking contaminated water. In urban warfare, damaged infrastructure can quickly make tap water unsafe, while rivers and lakes become polluted with chemicals, waste, or fuel. The most reliable defense is to store clean water in advance. Large, food-grade containers kept in a cool, dark place can provide a family with enough water for at least a week. Portable water filters, the kind used by hikers and aid workers, can remove most bacteria and protozoa. Water purification tablets are another inexpensive option, with a long shelf life and minimal storage requirements. For rural households, a private well can be a major safeguard, though it too may need filtration in a prolonged crisis. Carrying even a single liter of clean water can be worth far more than carrying a kilogram of gold when basic infrastructure collapses. In desperate circumstances, water is not just a resource, it is life itself. Why these 4 essentials matter in today's geopolitical climate. The need for practical survival resources is not a relic of history. It is a lesson that is becoming more relevant as the world edges toward a period of sustained geopolitical instability. The ongoing war in Ukraine has demonstrated how quickly modern cities can lose access to basic goods when supply chains are disrupted. Fighting in the Middle East has shown how shortages can push prices for essentials far beyond the reach of ordinary people. In Sudan, armed groups have bypassed gold and currency, seeking instead food and medical supplies. China's expanding influence in the Indo-Pacific adds another layer of uncertainty. Increased military activity around Taiwan, growing tensions in the South China Sea, and Beijing's strategic partnerships with other powers raise the risk of wider regional disruption. A conflict in Asia could have global consequences, from shipping delays to shortages of critical goods. For countries closely tied to global trade, such as those in Europe, North America, and Australia, the economic and logistical ripple effects could be severe even without direct involvement in the fighting. This is why preparedness is not just a matter for those living in immediate conflict zones. Preparedness without panic. It is important to emphasize that readiness is not about fear-mongering or assuming the worst. It is about acknowledging the vulnerabilities in our modern systems and taking small, affordable steps to protect ourselves and our families. The 4 essentials, ready-to-eat food, salt and sugar, essential medicines and drinking water, are not exotic or expensive. They are items most people can acquire gradually without financial strain and store without major inconvenience. Their true value is not measured in peacetime, but in the stability they provide when everything else becomes uncertain. In the end, gold may hold its value in markets, but it cannot feed you, heal you, or quench your thirst in a crisis. The real currency of survival is practicality. When the world is unpredictable and the future uncertain, it is the quiet, overlooked preparations that make the difference. Shelves stocked with canned goods, sealed bags of salt and sugar, a well-supplied medicine kit, and containers of clean water are the foundations of resilience. History shows that in the darkest moments, it is not wealth but resourcefulness, backed by these essentials, that keeps people alive.